to the RunRX podcast, where we talk about all things running. As many runners know, it's 90% mental. So join Coach Valerie and Coach Caroline as we go through the mental side of running. Welcome back to Tough Love Tuesday. I'm your host, Coach Caroline, and I want to talk to you from a book that I started reading when I met Coach Valerie. It's written by her mentor and her coach, Dr. Nicholas Romanov. He created the pose method. There's also a book under that name. But this is from the book, The Running Revolution. And what I thought was really interesting, and I highly recommend you get it and the pose method if you're following us. But in the Running Revolution, especially in the Audible version, I swear like the first 5 chapters are all about mindset and perception. And I want to read to you from basically one of the first chapters. The most important element in your new running form, and is the most elusive, perception. In a nutshell, perception is the ability to adapt and learn. It's the input and output system. You take in sensory information, which your brain will analyze and for decision making. When it comes to running, perception is what enables you to tune into minor nuances of your technique, becoming more in touch with your absolute threshold, the point where something becomes noticeable to your senses, is essential to improving your form. Wow, did you ever think you'd describe running that way? Think about that. What he's trying to talk about is this idea that you perceive when your foot reaches the ground. And I hate to use the word land, but it's when the foot reaches the ground and springs back up. And you've heard Valerie say up, right? And just the breaking of that threshold from the ground and using basically the elasticity of the muscles is what causes the pull. There's no action, right? There's just that breaking of the ground, and your body's muscle elasticity will cause the pull. All you have to do is then fall and pull the other foot in response to the fall. Now, if you're new to this and this is the first one you've ever heard, you might be going, wow, this is really woo. But it's truly incredible if you can learn how to perceive your body in motion and perceive the standard of movement. I'm going to take this into a couple other worlds. I've used the martial arts analogy, but let's just use a dancing analogy. Have you ever watched someone just do a simple line dance? Have you ever gone to kind of a country bar where they do line dances? And there's always that one person that just seems to kind of glide across the floor, right? They don't seem to be very heavy. They seem to know all the movements. It's just very unconscious. And remember, I talked about that before, that unconscious competence. But that comes from a perception. It becomes from a learning and an awareness of their body and an understanding of how their body moves within space. This also can be called, what am I thinking of the word? Pardon me. Having coordination. Sorry, that was the word I was thinking of. Sometimes you don't think that running takes coordination. You think it's just running. But when you really look at the movement, when you really look at the idea of falling and being comfortable with the fall and pulling in response to the fall, and if you've ever tried to do any of these drills, you definitely feel uncoordinated. I consider myself a fairly coordinated person, and when I do those drills, I feel like a clodhopper. So my point is that you have to kind of get past that initial feeling of awkwardness, that initial feeling of I don't feel comfortable doing this, and work through that until you can get to the perception of your body as it moves in space. Okay? This is a really important concept. And with that whole concept and perception, we really need to look at our language. We don't use words, and I hate to use the word don't, but we try very hard, we challenge ourselves not to use words like lean, land, push. And And we don't even try to use words like hard, easy, medium effort, things like that. And here's why. As soon as I say the word to you, push, you're going to think to move, put your feet into the ground. When I say push, you immediately bend your knees and you put all of your weight on your feet in an effort to push off the ground. We don't want you to push. That's what causes pain. We want you to pull. We want you to think up. Do you see how those, just take a moment, push, pull. They have totally different neurological and physiological differences. Also, when we say things like hard, easy. Now, I didn't even change the way those words are said, right? Hard, easy. They feel different in your body, okay? What about hard, light? Even just, I can't say the word light without sounding light, right? It's just a feeling. It's a way that it comes off. It's what it is. And then we don't like the word lean because that implies I'm going to take my upper body from the hips and lean forward. You're not leaning when you're falling. You're actually falling. You're unweighting off of your, basically off of your heels and unweighting over the ball of your foot. Okay, you're just basically moving that muscle mass. And if these ideas are a little uncommon for you or sound a little weird or you can't visualize them, go to the YouTube channel and look at the 30-day reboot. We walk you through piece by piece each one of these items. But as you're watching it, I want you to really listen to her and listen to the words she does not use. And it's really purposeful that we do this because your thoughts will create a feeling. And that feeling, whether conscious or unconscious, creates an action, and that action is what gives you your results. So if I think hard, I'm going to have a feeling of hard, whatever that is, whether it's tensing up, whether it's making my knees tight, whether it's steeling my body for an impact because of the word hard. And then whether I realize it or not, I'm going to have an action that is hard. That will be the results I get because I'm thinking this is hard, okay? Take a moment, go ahead and do some more research. I'm going to continue to read through this book here because everything about perception it's so important. And if you get the book, and you listen to it, it's really important that you get these things, this idea of sense data and awareness and basically what you're feeling. That's the first chapter, guys, is perception, sense data, awareness, and feeling. And this is from the originator of this program, of Poe's method, okay? So take a moment to worry about your perception, take a little bit to be aware of your thoughts, and then go out there and give this a try with the 30-day reboot. Thank you for joining us on the RunRX podcast. If you'd like to know more, join us at www.runrx.fit. And if you have additional questions that you'd like answered on the podcast, email us at support@runrx.fit.